Back with another zombies video. This is another solve that I recently discovered, and like a lot of things in history, it is kind of accidentally discovered or solved. I figured it out, solved it, thanks to Wikipedia. I can't take too much credit because I ended up stumbling across it while searching information or doing research for another video that I just finished about the dark ether. And towards the end of that video, I start looking, and that's how I do it. Like I just do everything kind of one shot deal. I kind of even almost do it live, no takes, no editing, um, just because I don't have time. I probably should make time, but this is a new solve that it's pretty amazing when you come to think of it, and it thankfully is solved, so it makes sense of something pretty much everyone in the community was puzzled about. So what I'm talking about obviously is the plunger uh, slash wonder weapon, melee weapon, whatever you want to call it, because I think it is a one-hit kill. Um, that you can get through a couple Easter egg steps in the Eisendrache. I think you go back into time and you got to go grab it. But that plunger was a huge hint to one. I'm gonna really stress that one of the major storylines that Treyarch put in Black Ops 3, and there's so many like people still don't listen, but it's true. Blundell and some of the devs have said that there's so many different layers of Easter eggs, some of it being really sophisticated. Um, but anyways, that's something else for another story. I just want to kind of stay on track. So I used to watch streamers back in 2015 when the DLC came out, and it's funny seeing people's reaction, including mine, that um, we had no idea why there was just a random plunger. But knowing what I know now, like I said, I started out doing just high rounds, playing the maps, trying to survive. Knowing how pretty much everything is an Easter egg in Treyarch games, there's just that it's hidden so cleverly, and I always say, and I tweet to them even just recently, they're just like geniuses the way they hide stuff. That like unless you really stop, and it this goes for everything in your life. If you just stop and enjoy the moment and notice the detail and everything, you might actually appreciate it a lot more. And then there's that saying, which I'm sure I'm gonna mess it up, which I've heard a couple of my professors say it, and I think even some of the Treyarch people say it. You can't lose the trees in the forest or something like that, where you just see the forest, but you're not paying attention to the trees in every single tree. If you just stop and enjoy every little detail that Treyarch puts in the game, you're gonna appreciate the grand scheme of zombies altogether. So let me kind of show you how I stumbled across this. Having said all that, and hopefully I didn't lose any of you guys by now. In 1993, there is a video game based off. Sorry, there's a movie based off the video game Super Mario Brothers. Stories about two brothers that they're plumbers, and I believe they also own a pizza restaurant, if I remember correctly. So the movie came out in '93, and like I said, this is something I stumbled across from Wikipedia. So I'll try and link everything, and I try to do this in chronological order. How I figure it out, so you can kind of see how I piece things together, how my brain works, and how two and two goes together, and how I kind of solve stuff, and how important it is to look at every single detail. So '93, the movie came out. This is obviously the Wikipedia page, and I'll show you how I stumbled across it, going while I was researching for the Dark Ether. So it says it's a science fantasy adventure comedy in '93 based off Mario the video game, directed by a husband and wife couple. They went through the script a few times. They rewrote it a few times. I think in the story it says Nintendo wasn't really too caring about the story. They're like, do whatever you want, it's yours. But back then, obviously, video games were a lot different in the '80s and '90s than now. '90s, it's a multi-billion dollar, maybe even trillion-dollar industry. Back then, I guess Nintendo was like, just do whatever you want, just make a movie. And you probably can go on Wikipedia, obviously, and read all that. So, like I was gonna say, the movie is mentioned there real quickly. It has weird and dark tones. And they're trying to mimic like other movies back then, even trying to throw some stuff in, obviously from the video game. The movie ended up being a flop, but even after seeing this, people are probably gonna want to go watch it. Ends up getting a cult following. So that's just a little backstory. Now, the plot that fits into zombies, and it's funny that Nintendo probably has no clue about this or the directors, which is cool because I understand that the Treyarch devs are just paying homage to stuff that they grew up watching when they were younger. Some of them I'm probably around their same age group, so I totally understand and appreciate this stuff, kind of like they do. So about 65 million years ago, a meteorite, hint hint 115, crashes into Earth, killing all the dinosaurs and splitting the universe into two parallel dimensions. Those two parallel dimensions being ether and dark ether. In the dark ether, the surviving dinosaurs advance and evolve into a human-like race or species. Um, and then in the movie, there's a lady who leaves an egg. Um, And I started watching some of it on YouTube. There's people who have like clips and stuff, so you can kind of get an idea. I think it's gonna be very hard to find the actual movie online. I don't know who owns the rights or whatever, but they might re-release it because I've read that there's gonna be a remake, a cartoon version of this movie. Should be released in 2022, so you have some time to wait. But at least you'll get to see a modernized, updated, remastered cartoon, maybe CGI version of this movie. They're obviously not going to do a live action again. Probably they don't want to risk millions of dollars. So, anyways, the egg hatches containing an infant girl. I assume, if I remember correctly, the infant girl is Princess Peach, who I guess escaped from the dark ether dinosaur version dimension, and then gets brought into the light ether version. So Mario and Luigi, they live in Brooklyn, which would be amazing if we get like a New York map again, other than Infinite Warfare. Um, okay, so Mario and Luigi awaken and pursue them through an interdimensional portal that leads to Dino Hatton instead of Manhattan, like man, and woman, like man. It's Dino Hatton, which is pretty clever in itself. That's pretty funny. Um, so basically, in the movie, they're trying to, and this is where Black Ops 2 Victus comes into play. They're trying to mend the rift of when the meteorite crashed into Earth. It's tore it into two like dimensions, I guess, being ether and light ether. And to get everything back to normal somehow, they have to bring together the dark ether and the light ether, or dinosaur world and the human world. Um, so that's kind of like the backstory of how I guess Treyarch kind of started roping in a little bit and paying homage to the Super Mario Brothers series. Um, and I'm not gonna get into too much of it, but that's pretty much it because I guess you can go on Wikipedia, click around, and read more about the Dark Ether and stuff like that. Or you can kind of go on YouTube and watch videos of people discussing uh, the ether and dark ether. And there's a crystal that they need. I don't know if that's supposed to be the shard. I forgot what it's called, but the Agarthan shard, is that what it's called? Um, that helps fuse both worlds together, or something like that. And that's the shard that King Koopa was after in the movie. Kind of, I guess, like Monty maybe was after the shard or something like that. Okay, so that's that part of it. It's a 1993 movie about 115, or a version of 115 crashing into Earth, splitting it into two world, Ether and Dark Ether. And that's Black Ops 5 stuff. If Treyarch hints at it well enough, or what I got from it, that Victus is gonna have to mend the rift and bring the two worlds together, kind of like what Jimmy wasn't able or wasn't allowed to finish in Black Ops 2 when Blundell took over. Okay, so now as far as the Eisendrache, this is going to be probably the most important clip that I'll show you guys, just to convince you guys off the bat that this is a true solve, that it's not just me blowing smoke, looking for views or money and stuff like that. I just like solving it. It's like a crossword puzzle or anything, or any type of puzzle. Like, you just want to solve it. It's more about figuring it out than it is the prize at the end. So as you can see, when I start the clip, somebody, and I'll link it, made how it looks like when you die in Super Mario Brothers, and some of you might already see or know where this is going. When you die, that's the end cutscene, and he does it again. And some of you might have already figured this out, because this is one of the bigger hints that they gave us, the most obvious one. But we obviously, including myself, I'm not gonna try and sound like I'm any smarter than anyone, that we all kind of missed it. So if you let me see if I get my mouse to work, and I'll just kind of, if you look at the game over screen, and I didn't include it in here, but if you look at Kevin's dead again, it's a death, like a death screen, I guess, or end cutscene. Why can't I find it right? So he ends up dying, and you see right there, you see Bowser. I don't know the difference between Bowser and King Koopa. I'm just gonna assume it's the same person. You see his face closing in when you die, and like I said, hence the reason Kevin Sherwood, Treyarch, named it Dead Again, because it's like whenever you dead, you get that, you die, you get that that transition. I think that's what they call it, a death screen transition, if I remember what I searched in Google. And he goes through a couple. This has been going since the 80s and 90s, but I just happened to find this clip of some of the newer games that they still use it. So anyways, going now to zombies, how this all fits in, and you're gonna slap yourself on the forehead, and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe we missed that the whole time. Now, if you look at the dead again screen, let's say, when you, let's say, die, or it's just hinting that we're dead, and this is another version of us dying. And I probably shouldn't have stopped it because it goes really slow, but that same screen with Bowser's face is the same screen as when the Eisendrache trailer starts. And if you think again, like the Easter egg song, how everything's all roped together, everything is done pretty cleverly from Treyarch, that it shows. And I guess that's supposed to be like Bowser's castle, and just, I mean, there's not much. The main thing you're gonna end up backtracking. You just gotta see the similarity between that dead screen, and that's why it's called Dead Again. Just in case you are like missing it, let me stop again now, and I should probably do it side by side. But when you die, you get the same death screen in Mario Brothers. Okay, so hopefully you got the point by now. So that's one little hint that they gave us. Now, this is where it gets even better. In 1989, even before the movie was discovered, and it looks like the same exact sync from The Eisendrache, but people aren't going to believe me, so it is what it is. Whoops, how did I get that to play? Or did I pause it? Oh, okay, never mind. It's not a video. I'm telling you, I do this stuff all in one shot. I'm not gonna do it over again. So anyways, in in 1989, there was a cartoon series. It had some opening live scenes like this, and then it went into the cartoon. A lot of cartoons did that back in the day. I think even SpongeBob does it now, or did it when it first came out. So, anyways, that's Super Mario Brothers, and I paused it here. This is the opening scene, and the sink kind of looks like but then you say any sink looks like a sink. But anyways, that's the same exact sink in the Eisendrache. Next thing is that's the same exact gramophone that we use in Zombies, and if you remember in the Rising Drop, there's a newspaper Easter egg where every time you use the plunger, um, the the newspaper changes in the front, and they ended up. I read on Wikipedia or the Call of Duty wiki page that they ended up deleting this Easter egg. You can't do it anymore. I'm thinking because rumor is we're supposed to go to London, but they saved London for Black Ops 4. Instead, gave us Revelations to promote Zombie Chronicles and help promote that. So, anyways, that's why there's an Easter egg, a newspaper Easter egg, or there were a newspaper Easter egg, and there's a gramophone that's all over the Horizon Rock also. So you can see how they're stealing stuff from this world, putting into the Call of Duty world, and stuff like that. So, of course, the first episode of the first season, it's them in an ice world, and they have to go up a mountain, and of course you're gonna guess what's on top of the mountain. There's some sort of castle, and of course there's a dragon, like the Horizon Drop dragon. It's pretty clever how they all do this stuff. And um, in the past when I first started figuring and solving stuff, I used to get my heart would start racing. I would get goosebumps. But like knowing now how much of a genius Treyarch is, the devs, and how clever they are. Like, man, this doesn't surprise me one bit that the first episode of the first season is about them. Actually, and there's a famous cipher in The Giant where it says you have to go search for the frozen one, or the frozen one must be discovered. And that's what this story is all about, also. You'll see that the dragon-esque creature, I'm gonna say, goes top to his castle or nest, and he ends up stealing one of the people from the group, which was Toadstool, because she's blind, she can't really see well, so she thinks that's her baby, because her baby was missing for a couple months, so she ends up stealing Toadstool, thinking that he is her baby. So now, as far as the Frozen one is figured or factored into the whole thing, they have to find her real baby, which is a frozen baby, on the mountain, and then they have to go swap it out so they can get their friend back, which was Toadstool. So it's pretty amazing. Like, uh, not that I would ever have the opportunity because I don't have the credentials, but I would love to work for Treyarch just because they're geniuses, and they always say you should surround yourself with people that are really smart and clever and like geniuses. But on the other hand, too, I'm like figuring it out on your own. I would be unless I work in like their accounting department or something. Like, don't tell me anything, but I still want to work with you guys. Um, how they you're gonna end up spoiling all the secrets for yourself. So, anyways, they have to go search for the frozen one, which is her little baby on the mountain, and they end up finding the baby, and they end up swapping it out with their friend, and they become friends with the dragon towards the end, which is not really a dragon, but for this sake, it's a dragon. So, the last little clue tidbit is what weapon do we do in the Rising Rock, we end up having to upgrade bows. So I'm like, well, was Treyarch also being clever with his name being Bowser, and you can probably it's a play on word like Bowser, like maybe somebody who makes bows is a Bowser, so like we're Bowser, or Bowser, and it says Bowser or King. Oh, okay, so it is the same person. Is a fictional character and the main antagonist of the Nintendo franchise. But I think that was back then. I think they're all kind of like buddies now. The character bears the title of Damo. Not that might be like a Greek reference, like Deimos. In Japan, the character bears the title Damo. In the U.S., the character was first referenced as Bowser, King of the Koopas, the Sorcerer King, um, in the instruction manual. So that pretty much sums it up. I don't know how long this is, like 20 minutes, but this is just one of the more amazing solves. And I might tweet it out to a couple of people, but I've learned that the people that go searching for solves are gonna appreciate it more, like I do. If you try and share this with the zombies community, they're not gonna appreciate it. They're just gonna hate on it. They're gonna give you 20 different reasons why, BS reasons why it's not a solve and why it's not true. Whereas the person that truly cares about the game and the title, and I hate that unfortunately the 1% of 2% or the 1 or 2% of the zombies community that really appreciate the game. Everybody's in it just for the money at this point. They just want to make videos. They were like, just give me the answer. I don't really care. I'll make a video, make some money, and that's pretty much it. But to figure out that, even something a detail as Bowser, since we make bows and upgrade bows in the Eisendrache, that like how clever they are to put everything and piece everything together. I'm sure there's more of it. Like I said, I don't get in. I try the Easter eggs. I play in lobbies, but I really need to somehow get better at doing Easter eggs and stuff like that. So, anyways, if you're interested, again, Black Ops 5 probably is gonna have, or Zombie Chronicles 2 is gonna have a lot of uh, dark ether, light ether, mending the rift, I guess the rift of both the light ether and dark ether worlds. Um, so I'm interested to see where that's gonna go. And I'm making some other stuff too, videos on some other Easter eggs. I'm trying to spread them out, and of course, like I said, these take a lot of time. Anyways, I'll see you guys later. Thanks.